Alright, so the first thing we need to do is summarize the text. We need to understand the who, what, when, where, why of this passage.
Hamilton, why is that so important that we should start with summarizing?
Because before we can get to understanding what the topics are about and what the writer is saying about them, we have to just understand the basics of the poem.
That makes sense.
So something I noticed for the what is the speaker seems to be saying things about maybe time and age.
What gives you the sense of time and age?
Well, I see this word youthful here in line 7, and then I see youth again in line 10, and then time is capitalized, so maybe that's something important. So I think there's something to do with the what about time and age. What did you two think about that?
Yeah, I also see youth come up in line 12, time in line 13. Marker?
I wasn't thinking as much about the what, although I see those things. I was trying to figure out just who is talking. I feel like it's someone talking to someone they might love.
What makes you think that?
Because in line 10 it says, sets you most rich in youth before my sight. So it's like someone talking to the person, sets you. Like, I'm talking to you. You are most rich or good, I guess. It means, like, your youthfulness is good when I see you. And then I also think it's talking to someone in line 13. It says, for love of you.
Yeah, when you were talking about 10, I didn't think that necessarily was a lover, but the word love does come up. And they seem to be talking about the person affectionately.
So, can we say that it's like someone who loves someone's youthfulness, or like over time they've gotten to know them, or?
Yeah, that's a good question, right? Do they love them for their youth, or do they love the youth about them, or right, I wonder.
I'm interested in this last line here, and I'm kind of confused by it. I'm thinking of the why are they talking about it, because it sounds like we're in agreement it's probably someone talking to someone they love. What do you think, Eric?
I agree with that. You want to focus on line 14?
Yeah, I was just making sure we had that basis. And now I'm thinking, why are they talking about youth or love? Something about I engraft you new?
Well, well, thinking about the fact that this is a sonnet, we know that the last two lines make the couplet, right? And the volta would come right before.
Yeah.
That's the turn in the poem. So we can think about the couplet as the two lines going together. So I want to look at them with each other.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So it's, and all in war with time for love of you. As he takes from you, I engraft you new.
So who is the he here?
Right. I think it's, we pointed out time as being capitalized. I wonder if time is maybe like a name, almost like thinking of it as a person, right? Because if you're in a war with someone, right, you have to be fighting someone else.
Right.
So if they're in the war with time, right, maybe he's time taking from the person that the poet loves, and the poet is doing something else. But right, what does engraft mean?
I was just gonna look that up, because that feels like the part that we don't know.
I know that
Something about like creating or making.
I knew that when I studied wines in college, they would talk about wine, like the plants that would get sick.
So grafting.
Yeah, they would take, to make new like strains of plants, they would take two of them and put them together.
Well, I looked it up online and it says another term for graft, which is
useless.
Okay,
but
what
then
does graft mean?
I kept looking, it says something about implanting.
Yeah, it must be like putting two things like next
Which like grafting
together.
of skin grafts, so yeah.
It's like putting things and making something new.
Yeah.
Okay, so
like
Marco,
put you together new.
what did you think about this idea? We haven't heard from you yet on this, about this idea that time is the he, and there's some.
No, I totally agree with that. I
conflict.
was trying to figure out the same thing. I was like, who's he? I think it's time for the same reasons. It's capitalized, so it's probably being personified. Time's taking from you, like your life. You're losing your youthfulness maybe, and I, the person who likes this person, makes them new in their eyes, or I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe they remember them as new. I don't remember.
But there's definitely a conflict because they use the word war
Mhm.
Yeah.
for love of you. So time and the speaker are in some conflict
Mhm.
for the object of the poem, which is the loved one.
So in summarizing, then, like, the object of the poem is this person who the speaker has some affection for, whether it's a friend or a lover. They like them, they see them as young. That's like the what. So the person is the who, what they're talking about. The what is that they like them, or they think they're pretty or young. I don't know. When is that time is passing, right? Like, time is taking, that means the person's getting older. I don't know about where.
I think where might be hard to determine within the context of the
Yeah.
sonnet. But I think why they're talking about this is because they have this conflict with time
Mhm.
over the person.
Yeah.
Okay, should we move on? We've already kind of gotten to this, but then moving on to the second part, identifying thematic topics.
So we've summarized
Mhm.
generally enough
Mhm.
to, okay.
Yeah. So we've mentioned time, would we
Mhm.
agree, is a thematic topic?
I think also love.
Yeah, because that's ultimately...
Why time? Like, is youth part of that too?
Yeah, I guess, I don't know. Could
Well,
time and youth be in the same category?
Yeah, I think youth only exists in relationship to being older, right?
Right, which is
Because
in
youth is,
relation
I
to
just
time.
like, I know we're supposed to look for ideas that are repeated, and
Mhm.
youth
Yeah.
is over and over again.
That's true,
Yeah.
okay.
But I'm just wondering, how is that
Mhm.
the same as time? I'm not saying it's not. I just am trying to make youth time, like time is passing.
Yeah.
I'm also looking at things grow, right? In
Mhm.
line 1, everything that grows. I also see in line 5, men and plants increase. I see, right, we have youthful sap in 7, memory is 8, and inconstant stay is 9. I mean, they all seem kind of different
Mhm.
when we talk about growing, right? Right, we're talking, you grow over time, right? Plants grow as well as
Mhm.
people. And when you wear out your memory, right, your memory is to remember what happened long ago. So as time has passed, right?
So memory goes with the time thing.
Yeah,
So
I would
it's
agree.
inconstant.
Mhm.
How do you see inconstant stay matching with time or youth?
I think that I think we have to talk about what the conceit is, right? The conceit of this inconstant stay.
Mm.
But when I think about inconstant, right, and being not permanent,
Mhm.
youth is also something that's not permanent,
Okay,
right?
yeah.
As time passes,
I can see
youth
that.
disappears.
Right. So it seems like we're saying, to maybe summarize the thematic topics part, time and youth, those are related.
Mhm.
Because like you said, Sarah, youth is only youth in relation to time and age. But then also love.
Mhm.
Even though love is only mentioned, I think, once, it
Mhm.
still feels like an important part of it. Because it seems like the why. The speaker is talking about
Yeah.
this because they love the person. What did you two think about that?
I think especially since it comes in the couplet,
Mhm.
it feels like a conclusion almost,
Yeah.
right? Even though it's not mentioned before, I agree with your point about the why, right?
Mhm.
That he put it at the end to maybe emphasize everything that had come before it.
Yeah. What do you think, Marker?
I agree with that. I also am noticing things like decay. We shouldn't ignore that decay is capitalized.
Oh,
yeah.
And-
In addition to time, yeah.
And yeah, I just would want. We don't have to focus on this now, but we should come back to the grows and plants
Mhm.
in line 1 and 5.
Yeah, these
Yeah,
are
I
images
agree.
that are repeating. That we
And
haven't
then
mentioned
also,
yet,
yeah, in terms of repetition, like stars in line
Mhm.
4 and
Ooh,
sky,
sky,
in
yeah.
6.
Yeah.
And I
that's
also, in line 12, right around youth, is to change your day of
Oh,
youth
yeah,
to
night.
sullied night.
Mhm.
It feels like
Mhm.
youth doesn't have a day and night, but there might be some kind of metaphor
Mhm.
where the day stands in for being younger, right, earlier in the day.
Mhm.
And as time passes throughout the day, it's like time passing throughout your life.
Well, yeah, they're saying, I think you're right, this line is the metaphor, the day of your youth to sullied night.
Mhm.
And day and night have a clear comparison. The comparison with youth would be old age. So then maybe I think the time and youth stuff relates to then the grows, night and
Mhm.
day, those
So,
repeated
yeah, maybe they're
images.
just different images
Mhm.
or metaphors. I don't know. Maybe they're both or which, but they're both communicating something about time passing or getting
Yeah.
older, probably because of the decay stuff and
Yeah.
the
Right.
war over time. Like time is taking from you. you're getting older.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and like decay means to kind of like break down and
Yeah.
move towards death, or like even after death, right? And I guess that kind of works with this like the youthfulness towards old age and dying.
So then I think maybe we're ready to move to thinking about what the writer is saying about these things.
Mhm.
The
So,
claim.
Yeah, the claim part 3. So they're talking about time and youth. Some images that are coming up are
Mhm.
growing, plants, this idea of night and day, maybe connecting to youth and old age. What do we think are the points that they're making about these things?